Hi, fellow traders. Man, is it earnings season? I thought it was earnings season, but today it just didn't seem like it. Yesterday I was grabbing the bull by the horn. Today I'm kicking the bull in the ass, trying to get it to go. I mean, it was crazy. The day just didn't feel right, and I know a lot of it had to do with me because I came in. I guess I was a little bit disheveled. I didn't vet the first stock right. I just kind of left half the steps out and ended up taking a loss on a trade that I never should have traded. And then I just didn't get any volatility. It just didn't feel right. And I just hope this doesn't continue. I hope this was just a one day thing and things pick up and go. And that's what I'm looking for. All right, so let's take a look at what happened today. Now, ABT was on my watch. It was on earnings. And number one, when a stock puts in this for its first 5-minute candle, that's usually my sign to walk away, take eyes off, and start looking at something else. But I was like, no, let me wait. Let's wait and see what this candle does. And then I'll go on the third candle. I'll give it 10 minutes and then I'll go. And it pretty much set up the way I wanted it to. But the problem was my focus. I was zoomed in. And whenever you zoom in, you don't see what's around it and the things that can affect the trade. And I feel this is one of the most important aspects of being in a chat room, being in a community. It's not about getting trade alerts. It's not about getting trade ideas. It's about learning how to trade. It's about understanding that I can teach you all of these strategies. I can show you a dead chart. I can show you illustrations. But unless you see these things happening real time and understanding what the adjustment is as we're doing it, you're going to be lost. These trades, the setup's the same. But how the trade reacts during the trade is going to be different. The moving averages are going to be in different places. You're going to have different levels of support and resistance. You're going to have different entities trading it. So it's going to look different. It's not going to move the same. It's not going to feel the same. So watching this happen every day and watching me take different trades and the setup on different stocks, this is where real learning takes place. This is the depth of learning. And as a teacher, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know this is the only way you can learn. I know you can't fool a teacher. People try, and the students have tried. Eventually, they get caught. You can't fool a teacher. I've had plenty of people tell me, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And talking to them 5 minutes, I can tell you right off the bat whether they're trading right or not. You just know there's certain things that you see and you feel and you know. And that's what I'm trying to teach you, how to recognize that stuff as well. As you learn how to trade, you'll know when something's not right. Just right off the bat. You won't even have to think about it. And so watching these setups develop live and watching me manage it live, and sometimes I say something that I probably shouldn't say. I get frustrated like everybody else, but that is just who I am. And this is what happens in the time frame of a trade. But I explained this. Once I realized what happened on this trade, I had to zoom out. And once I zoomed out, I realized here was pre-market support, but I was only focused on the lower pre-market. And you guys know from the last classes in the opening range breakouts that we need to mark pre-market support, and not just the low. But if there's another significant level, you need to mark it. And I didn't. I didn't mark the 200. I forgot to transfer it from the chart. And so I'm sitting here, I half-ass vetted the stock. I half-ass drew the lines. And I started trading like I knew what the hell I was doing. And that is what messed up this morning. Never should have taken this trade. This trade is not set up. It's not set up at all for a 5-minute opening range trade. Zero. Should have walked away when this first candle printed. Should have turned my head and went to look at Roku. Was the only other trade I had. Plus, what was that other stock? SN something. Let me see. Let's see what it was. I'll tell you. I want to say Snickerdoodle, but that's not it. SNBR, sleep number. That's the bed I'm supposed to be getting, so I should know that. SNBR was another one. That one turned out to be a pretty decent trade here. You know, eventually, trend continuation. Wham! Look at that move. Bam. But it wasn't on my watch because it didn't have a volume pre-market, but it was on my watch for secondary trade. The secondary trade did set up, but I was messing around with these other stocks. Missed that good move, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. There's a couple of guys in the room that did trade that. So, you know, good job on catching that. But just a big time mistake on this. Big time mistake. Roku. This was another stock on my watch, and this is where my focus went after that ABT debacle. And this was a solid entry. I got a solid entry on this trend continuation. And remember, the class today was on trend continuation, the setups. I went over the foundation. And like I said, real learning, you know, understanding the foundation and kind of what you're looking at is good. That's what you need at first. But as I point these out, live as they happen, as I trade them, again, that's where the depth is going to come in. So going forward, I'm going to be marking the patterns, because I don't see patterns, or I don't need to see patterns to trade. But a lot of people, when they're doing continuation, they need to see patterns. And so there's always a pattern that coincides with a trend continuation trade. Like here, a pennant is what a bear pennant is what coincided with this. And if you want to go back to the class, I marked it out. I used this as an example. But I took this once we broke the low. Everything was right about this setup. And it turned around on me. Now, I did hold this stop about 30 cents too long. Not 30 cents. Maybe 10, 15 cents too long. I lost about 30 bucks on this. More than I should have. But I was kind of hoping that the VWAP would slap it down. It didn't. It did, but it didn't in the end. But I had to stop out. And here's the rejection. Now, I made a mistake on this entry. This one was perfect. This, just because it came back below the 200 doesn't mean you get in. This candle closed above the 200. In my narrow mind today, I was thinking this closed below it. As soon as this candle broke the low, I'm getting in. That's what I saw. Wrong. This candle needed to close below this level And then this candle needed to make a new low to confirm that we are losing the 200. This never confirmed either. This closed below the 200. This never made a new low relative to this candle. Never was there a confirmed loss of this 200. But this was a good look. This was a good entry. Even though it wasn't a confirmed loss, this was a good entry based on the setup. This was not a good entry based on this setup because we're using the 200. So this was a bad entry here. So of course I was a little bit beside myself at that point. But as I zoomed out and I started looking at this, I'm like, here, this made a higher low. We're showing some strength on, some a little bit lower volume. So we hold the VWAP and the 9, we're going up. And we can hit these moving averages for profit targets. And that's what I posted. This was happening right when I was having to leave to go to my appointment. But I posted exactly what to look for and exactly what move I was looking for. And this is, I didn't get to take profit here like I wanted to. This was the final target, but driving and not being in a good position, I would have to pull over to do it. And this thing kind of ran faster than I was able to get in the order. So this ended up being my first target, my final target. And then I turned around and added back full size because it looked like we were holding this. Then we came down and it got aggressively bought back up off this level. And I felt comfortable adding to this. And then my average is all the way down here, 131.07. So I was really in good shape. If this thing failed, I could still take it off and lock in some profit, even though I added. But ended up taking some here, according to plan, right at the red to green line. And because I had such a good average, I was able to weather this pullback. Now, had we lost this 100, then I probably would have killed the trade because that meant the trend was broken and we were probably going to trend back the other way. But it held and it eventually worked its way up. This was my final target, but it never got there. It did eventually work its way up. And I took a piece off here because I didn't really feel that this thing was just running out of steam. And so I took some off here and said, hey, if it runs up here toward the end of the day, fine. If it doesn't, I've got profit locked in. I've kind of killed some of the red. So I feel better. I'm in a better place right now. And I held on to this because I knew Netflix was reporting earnings, and I felt if they had good earnings, Roku would probably get a little bump. And it did get a little bump. It just didn't get the bump I was looking for. But I don't have the P&L here because I'm still in 25 shares. I'm going to kill it at 6 o'clock. So on the recap tomorrow, I'll have the P&L for you to see. But probably will still be red. No doubt about that. But just how much I was able to take off and how much this will go up between now and 6 o'clock, remains to be seen. So that was it for me today. I'm glad I ended the day on a high note. I feel pretty good about that. I understood. I came in today with heightened expectations because it's earnings season. I was excited. I thought, yesterday was a good day. Today's going to be a good day. And I expected more out of the market than it gave. And it bit me. It bit me this morning because I had tunnel vision and I just took for granted too many things, and it put me in a hole. So we got that shit righted. We're going to come in tomorrow focus Thursday and Friday. See if we can finish this week strong and keep this momentum going. So you guys, if you missed the class, it'll be in the it'll be in the member video section. It'll be uploaded here this evening, and right after we have dinner, and you'll be able to see. I actually use these trades from the day to talk about the patterns. So make sure you take a look at that, and then we're going to be focusing on them as we go forward. Still focusing on the opening range trades. And no, the opening range trades are not designed to give you big money. It's designed to take advantage of this opening volatility. Some trades are going to be better than others, but the real money is made in trend continuation. That's where most of the money is made. So there are people that live just off of opening range trades. There are people that live just off of trend continuation. I live off of both. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for me. You guys have a great evening and a great night, and I'll see you first thing in the morning.